In my spare time, I like to unpack my mind and give a few nuggets of things that I'm thinking about and that I'm considering at this current moment. Thinking about my life and where I currently stand. And not so much from a biblical perspective, but from a humanistic perspective, the struggles that I've gone through. Spiritually, mentally, physically. Traumatic experiences can shape and change you and put you in a mindset where you think the things that you're doing are right. And in the midst of your activities or your actions, you can actually be hurting those who mean the most to you. So what do you do when you find yourself in those situations where you feel like there is no end in sight? When you're walking around in a reprobated status and you're assuming that everything that you're doing is right. You calculate negativity. Puffed up with pride, ego's driving you crazy, and you're just walking forward thinking that everything that you do is right, not considering those around you and the collateral damage that the hurt can cause. But in that moment, the only thing that you're thinking about is yourself. You're thinking about pleasure, hiding insecurities with ego, shunning all your teachings, negating all your principles, and just allowing pride and ego to run rampant. And then you find yourself in a place where you feel by yourself and you feel trapped and you feel alone and you have no idea what to do. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to myself. This is for all of those who felt oppressed in education, in economics, socially, physiologically. All of us who feel trapped mentally and have no idea where to turn or what to do. My message is for those who fasted and who prayed, who studied their scriptures, who've gone to church, who've laid out on the altar, who've had oil sprinkled over them, who've had the house anointed, yes, who've cried out to God. And after you've done all those things, you heard nothing but silence. That's a painful blow to anybody, especially be called out ones, the ecclesia, the church. That's a difficult pill to swallow, because we told you that you could name it and claim it and that you could believe it and receive it, and the enemy that's ripping you apart right now in your own house, you can't free yourself from it. So you hear stories of overcomers. You read sacred text of overcomers. You watch movies and videos of overcomers. You listen to sweet and beautiful songs of overcomers, but in your mind and in your body, you are trapped. An old African proverb that says, if there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do me no harm, and the enemy that's within is ripping you apart, piece by piece, limb by limb. You quoting scriptures, but they're not helping you. You're fasting, but it's not helping you. And you have no idea what to do. You want to seek therapy, but you're afraid to reach out because you don't want anybody to know your secret. So what do you do when you're trapped? Who is your outlet? Who do you reach out to when you have no idea what to do? What do you do? And slowly there's a whisper. There's a still small voice coming over you and overshadowing you. And you hear those words that say, I never leave you and I never forsake you. And you want to believe it, but you look at your circumstance, and your circumstance right now is the only tangible thing that you have. The words are soft, the words are kind, the words are passionate, but you can't reach out and grab them. So what do you have? And that voice continues to say, it continues to echo, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. And in the moment that you hear the words, you feel forsaken because your life is spiraled out of control and you don't know what to do. Those that you thought were your friends have turned their back on you. Those that you thought loved you are nowhere to be found. And the church is closed. The organs have been unplugged. The drumsticks have been tucked away. The lights have been turned off. Our clergy collars and our clergy robes are sitting in the closet collecting dust. The cleaner's not even getting service. What do we do when everything seems to have stopped? But we continue to hear that still small voice that says, I never leave you nor forsake you. I never leave you nor forsake you. I never leave you nor forsake you. And slowly as the days pass, you slowly feel yourself crawling out of a crevice of a basement that you never imagined that you'd be in, but you crawling and you fighting and you scratching, trying to get out of it. You don't know how you're going to get out of it, but you still crawling, you still fighting, you still crying, you still punching. Feeling life trying to rip itself and detach away from you. You trying to hold on to any type of sanity that you have, and you don't know what to do. But you continue to hear that voice. I never leave you nor forsake you. I never leave you nor forsake you. I never leave you nor forsake you. And then slowly, the pessimism, it slowly turns to optimism. And then you get another pitfall and another pitfall and another pitfall and another pitfall. But slowly that luck seems to be changing. The hope that you press toward, the mark that you look for and that you stretch for and that you reach out for slowly seems closer, but yet so far away. And you still hear that small voice saying, I never leave you nor forsake you. I never leave you nor forsake you. I never leave you nor forsake you. The season starts to change. Loved ones leave, new ones enter. But there's still a void that's in the heart. There's still a void that's in the mind. And guess what? The church is still closed. The church is still closed. Relevant question becomes, has the church ever closed, or did we close our hearts and did we close our minds to that still small voice that gave us promise after promise after promise, trying to lift us up and trying to build us up to become the men and the women and the children of God that we are supposed to be? Have we just shut it off and turned a blind eye to it and a closed ear to it and a closed mouth to it and walked away? Or are we still waiting on the church doors to open when they've always been open because my temple is open for business? My temple is always open. My tongue has been released from the roof of my mouth, and I've been given the ability to talk and reach out to people and say, He promised to never leave us nor to forsake us. So in the difficulties of our moments, in the difficulties of our depressed state, in the difficulties of dealing with the sin nature that tries to peel at your flesh, He promised to never leave us nor forsake us. And in this moment, I myself must hold on to this word, because I feel a tugging and a pulling all around me, wanting to go in one direction and trying to go in the other direction. So there's a wrestling, there's a discombobulation, there's a confusing, there's discontentment, there's discombobulation, there's confusion on which way to go. But I keep hearing that small voice saying, I never leave you nor forsake you. And guess what? I never left. When you turned your back and started walking in the wrong direction, I never left. I was still there to hold you. That still small voice that overshadows the mountains and overshadows the crowds, overshadows the excitement, overshadows the celebration, overshadows the sadness, and overshadows the tears. That still small voice that's echoing in my ear. That's echoing in my ear. That's echoing in my ear. That still small voice that says, I never leave you, nor will I ever forsake you. Turn around and come back to me. Regain the connection that you once had. Connect back to the body. I never leave you, nor will I forsake you. I never leave you, nor will I forsake you. I love you. Be blessed.